Supreme Delegate Zixtal of the Arxian Collective burst through the crystalline doors of the Grand Council chamber, all 6 of their tentacles flashing rapid patterns of distress purple. The sudden entrance interrupted the Centennial Resource Distribution Committee's meeting, causing several junior species representatives to emit sounds of protest. Those objections died quickly when they noticed the Arxians' usually immaculate ceremonial scales were in disarray. "The humans have gone silent," Zixtal announced, their translator struggling to convey the magnitude of dread in their harmonic voice. High Counselor Nemtov, the ancient Marosh who had survived 3 galactic wars, leaned forward in their gravity throne. "Explain," they commanded, their feline features betraying unusual concern. The chamber's quantum displays sparked to life, showing a real-time feed from the Council's observation post hidden within Saturn's rings, where there should have been billions of human radio transmissions, everything from their primitive entertainment broadcasts to military communications. There was nothing but empty static. "When did this begin?" Nemtov demanded, their tail lashing with agitation. "Precisely 6 standard hours ago," Zixtal replied, manipulating the display with precise tentacle movements. The transition was not gradual. All transmissions ceased within a single Earth minute. The younger species representatives began chattering among themselves, but the elder races sat in powerful silence. They remembered their ancestors' warnings about humanity's potential. "Perhaps their star has failed," suggested the Zentari ambassador, their crystalline form vibrating hopefully. "Negative." Zixtal's patterns shifted to cautionary orange. "Sol remains stable. Our long-range sensors indicate normal activity within the star system. But—" they paused, their patterns briefly flickering with fear. "Speak," commanded Nemtov. "We are detecting massive energy signatures throughout their system. Signatures that should be impossible for their level of technology." Zixtal's tentacles wrapped tightly around themselves, a sign of extreme distress. "The readings suggest energy manipulation on a scale that exceeds our own capabilities." The chamber erupted into chaos. The Krax delegation began calling for immediate military intervention. The Illumini representatives huddled together, their bioluminescent communication reaching a frenzied pace. Several minor species simply fled the chamber. Silence. Nemtov's roar cut through the pandemonium. The ancient Marosh activated their species' memory crystal, projecting the words of their ancestors into the chamber. "Beware the children of Earth. They learn not as we do, in careful steps and measured paces. They leap, they stumble. They break what should not be broken, fix what should not be fixed, and survive what should not be survivable. If they ever fall silent, it will not be because they have failed. It will be because they have succeeded beyond our greatest fears." As the ancient warning faded, new alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. The quantum displays showed massive distortions appearing throughout the Sol system. Something was happening to space-time itself around Earth. "By the first light," whispered Zixtal, their patterns now cycling through colors never before seen in the chamber. "They are creating. No, they are breaking." The displays suddenly showed a massive energy spike near Mars, then went completely dark. When they reactivated, the observation post reported a gravitational anomaly that defied the laws of physics as the Council understood them. Nemtov rose from their gravity throne, their ancient eyes fixed on the displays. "We were warned," they said quietly. "For 3 centuries we watched them, thinking we were the observers and they the specimens. But they knew. Somehow they knew, and everything we thought we were watching was a performance." The chamber fell into stunned silence as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just made an unexpected leap forward. They had been hiding their true capabilities for centuries. And now, for some reason, they no longer saw the need to maintain the deception. "Alert all Council worlds," Nemtov commanded. "The galaxy is about to change." The Alpha Centauri defense grid was considered impenetrable. 3 different species had contributed their most advanced technologies to its construction over the past millennium. The Zentary's quantum detection arrays could spot a swimming microbe from 50 light-years away. The Arxian's temporal shield grid could stop objects moving at any speed. The Mirage's automated response fleets could obliterate an invasion force before it fully emerged from hyperspace. None of it mattered. The human vessel didn't so much arrive as it simply appeared. One moment, the space near Proxima Centauri was empty. The next, it contained something that shouldn't have been possible. Size calculation complete, the Zentary sensor officer announced, their crystalline form vibrating with disbelief. The vessel is 1,237 kilometers in length. Fleet Commander Rax Loy of the Arxian Defense Force coiled their tentacles in shock. The largest known ship in the galaxy, their own dreadnought Eternal Vigilance, was barely 20 kilometers long. This human construction dwarfed everything in known space. Scanning systems are failing, the Zentary officer continued. The hull appears to be absorbing our quantum probes. No, not absorbing. It's as if the scans simply cease to exist before they make contact. The vessel's surface defied description. It was black, but not the black of painted metal or even the black of space. It was a darkness that seemed to pull at the eyes, suggesting depths and dimensions that shouldn't exist in normal spacetime. Launch a Class 1 probe, Rax Loy ordered. Full spectrum analysis. The probe, a marvel of combined council technology, accelerated toward the human ship. At a distance of 10,000 kilometers, a nearly invisible pulse of light flashed from the vessel's hull. The probe didn't explode or break apart. It simply changed. Where once had been a complex device of metal and energy, there now hung a perfect sphere of what appeared to be liquid gold, slowly rotating in space. By the first light, someone whispered on the command channel. The sphere began to glow, first red, then white, then colors that had no names in any council language. When the light faded, a new star burned where the probe had been, its nuclear fire already settling into a stable pattern. They created a star. The Zentary officer's vibrations had become so intense that their translator was struggling to keep up. As a byproduct of their point defense system, they created a star as casually as we might swat an insect. Warning alarms screamed through the command center as the human vessel began to move. Its motion violated every known law of physics. It didn't accelerate. It simply changed position, as if space itself was being rewritten around it. All defense grids are non-responsive, reported the secondary command node. The temporal shields, they're still operating, but the vessel moves through them, as if they don't exist. Rax Loy watched in horror as their most powerful defensive technologies were casually ignored. The human ship's course was clear. It was heading directly for Council space, toward the capital. Each movement it made demonstrated technologies that should have been millennia beyond human development. Send word to the Council, Rax Loy ordered, their patterns shifting to emergency crimson. Tell them. They paused, realizing the full implications of what they were seeing. Tell them that everything we thought we knew about humanity was wrong. Tell them that the species we've been watching, the one we thought was centuries away from interstellar travel, has been allowing us to watch them. And now they've decided to stop pretending. As the message was transmitted, the human vessel continued its inexorable advance. Its very presence seemed to mock the Council's assumptions about humanity's place in the galaxy. The age of underestimating Earth, it seemed, was over. High Admiral Krenva of the Combined Council Defense Fleet watched the tactical display with growing unease. The human vessel, now designated as Dark Horizon by Council intelligence, had crossed 3 major defense sectors in the past hour, moving in ways that defied strategic analysis. Status of the 7th blockade, she asked, her crystalline form refracting light, in patterns of deep concern. Gone, Admiral, her second reported. Not destroyed. They're simply Frozen. 120 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts, suspended in what appears to be a localized time-stop field. The display updated, showing another Council battle group moving to intercept. The Crack's War Master had deployed their most advanced ships, vessels equipped with technology that could tear apart stars. They're launching their attack, someone announced. The Crack's fleet unleashed a barrage that could have shattered a small moon. The space around the human vessel distorted, the weapon's energy seemingly bending around its hull before vanishing. No, not vanishing. The energy was being redirected somewhere, or perhaps someone. Impossible. The War Master's voice crackled over the command channel. Our sensors indicate the energy is being transmitted through time itself. They're sending our attacks into the past or future. Before anyone could process this information, the human ship responded. A series of geometric patterns appeared in space around the Crack's fleet, beautiful and terrible in their complexity. Where the patterns intersected, reality itself seemed to fold. When the patterns faded, the Crack's ships remained. But they were different. Their hull configurations had changed, weapons systems transformed. Even their energy signatures were altered. They had been reverted to an earlier stage of their technological development, as if centuries of advancement had been undone in moments. By the eternal void, Krenva whispered. They're not just moving through space-time. They're manipulating it at will. Her tactical officer, a veteran of 3 interstellar conflicts, spoke up. Admiral, we're detecting something else. The Void Dancers have been monitoring slip space traffic, and they're reporting echoes. Explain. They think this isn't the only human ship out there. The ripples in slip space suggest an entire fleet hidden just outside our reality. The dark horizon might just be the first one they've allowed us to see. The implications were staggering. If humanity had built one such vessel in secret, they could have built more, many more. And if they had managed to hide an entire fleet from the Council's most advanced detection systems. New contact. The alert cut through her thoughts. The human vessel it's gone. Impossible. Nothing can simply vanish from. Multiple contacts. It's everywhere. The display lit up as the dark horizon seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, each location as real as the others. Sensor data showed it was somehow present at every major strategic point in Council space at once, a display of technological superiority that went beyond mere advanced engineering. Message coming through, the communications officer announced. Text only, being broadcast on all frequencies in all languages. The message was brief, but its impact would echo through the ages. We could have struck at any time. We could have been anywhere. We chose to reveal ourselves now. Ask yourselves why. As the message faded, the multiple instances of the vessel vanished, leaving only the original, still moving inexorably toward the Council capital. But now they understood. This wasn't just a display of power. This was a message. Humanity wasn't just showing what they could do. They were showing what they had chosen not to do. Krenva made a decision. Send word to the Council. Tell them. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Tell them that if humanity had wanted war, it would already be over. They're coming to talk, and we should be very, very grateful for that. The capital world of the Galactic Council had never known war. For 10,000 years, the Ring of 1,000 Suns had protected it. A defense network so powerful that even the thought of attacking the planet was considered madness. 100 artificial stars orbited in perfect formation, each capable of unleashing the power of a supernova. Between them, quantum barriers and time locks created an impenetrable shield around the seat of galactic government. Today, that invulnerability was being tested. The human vessel will arrive within the hour, announced First Speaker Ctal, their holographic form flickering with agitation before the assembled council. Our options are limited. The council chamber, a vast amphitheater of living crystal and quantum-entangled light, had never been so full. Representatives from every major species, and most minor ones crowded the tiered seats, their voices creating a cacophony of fear and outrage. "We must strike first," thundered War Master Grax of the Crack's Dominion, his scaled hide flashing warning colors. "The ring of 1,000 suns can destroy anything in known space." "You saw what they did to your fleet," countered Ambassador Lith of the Illumini, her bioluminescent patterns showing clear disdain. "They reduced your most advanced ships to pre-space age technology with a gesture. What makes you think the ring will fare better?" Before Grax could respond, the chamber's quantum sensors screamed to life. The human vessel had arrived, far earlier than predicted. The massive hologram at the chamber's center showed the dark horizon, approaching the outer ring of defenses. "Activate the ring," Grax demanded, "while we still can." First Speaker K'tal raised all 4 arms for silence. "The ring has been active since we detected their departure from Earth. They're about to hit the first layer off." The words died as they watched the impossible happen. The human ship didn't try to break through the defenses. It didn't attack or attempt to disable them. Instead, it shifted. One moment it was outside the ring. The next it was inside, as if the space between had never existed. "How?" Kull's voice trembled. The time locks should have prevented any form of spatial transportation. "They didn't transport through space," Ambassador Lith whispered, her patterns now showing a mix of terror and awe. "They transported through possibility. They moved through the gap between what is and what could be." The chamber erupted into chaos. Several minor species representatives immediately fled toward the quantum transportation hubs. Others began calling for immediate surrender. The Crack's delegation started chanting war songs. Then everything went dark. The chamber's eternal light, which had burned continuously for 10 millennia, simply vanished. When illumination returned a second later, the human ship was there, not in the hologram, but visible through the chamber's transparent dome, its massive form blotting out the sun. The ship's scale was even more terrifying up close. It stretched from horizon to horizon, its hull seemingly made of living shadow. Patterns of unknown energy crawled across its surface, creating shapes that hurt to look at directly. "Members of the Galactic Council," a voice spoke, somehow perfect in every language simultaneously. "We request a conversation." First Speaker K'tal, to their credit, managed to keep their voice steady. "You could have sent a message. You could have requested diplomatic contact through proper channels. Why this display of force?" There was a pause, and when the voice returned, it carried a hint of what might have been amusement. "Because you needed to understand. You needed to see. What comes next requires your full attention. And now we have it." The chamber fell silent as the words sank in. This wasn't just first contact. This wasn't just a demonstration of power. This was a wake-up call, and every being present knew that the galaxy would never be the same. The council chamber's quantum transport pad activated, its crystalline surface shimmering with possibilities. Protocol dictated that any visitor would arrive with an honor guard, surrounded by protective fields and diplomatic barriers. Instead, a single human male simply walked out of the light. Ambassador Jack Morrison wore what appeared to be a simple black suit, though sensor readings suggested it was anything but simple. He looked to be in his mid-40s, with steel gray hair and eyes that seemed to hold equal parts amusement and warning. He carried no visible weapons or devices. "Thank you for having me," he said, his voice carrying naturally to every corner of the vast chamber, without any apparent translation technology. "I believe we have much to discuss." First Speaker Kull moved their hover platform forward. You stand before the combined representatives of 517 spacefaring species. Your actions have 498. Morrison interrupted calmly. 19 of your member species have already left the chamber through hidden emergency exits. They're currently attempting to reach their ships, though they'll find their quantum drives temporarily indisposed. A ripple of shock passed through the assembly. The emergency exits were supposed to be undetectable. The fact that this human knew not only about them, but could track those who used them. Let's start with the truth, Morrison continued, walking to the center of the chamber. You've been watching us since we first split the atom. Your observation post in Saturn's rings was impressive. For its time, we found it during our first manned mission to the moon. The Arxian delegates' patterns shifted to disbelief purple. Impossible. Your technology then was exactly what we wanted you to think it was. Morrison smiled, and with a casual wave of his hand, the chamber's holographic system activated. Images began to play. The moon landing, but from a different angle, showing technology that shouldn't have existed in the 1960s. Space shuttles that somehow masked advanced propulsion systems. Satellite launches that concealed the deployment of technology far beyond Council understanding. Everything you saw was real, Morrison explained. But it wasn't complete. Every broadcast, every signal, every piece of data you collected was carefully curated. We kept the Saturn observation post because it was useful. A direct line to feed you exactly what we wanted you to see. But the crashed ships, the Zentari representatives' crystal form vibrated with distress. The scout vessels we lost were retrieved, studied, and improved upon. Morrison's expression hardened slightly. Did you really think we wouldn't notice ships entering our solar system? That we wouldn't track them? Every crash was orchestrated. Every piece of technology we recovered was a stepping stone. He gestured again, and the hologram changed to show massive structures hidden within dimensional pockets throughout the solar system. Shipyards that dwarfed planets. Research stations that bent reality itself. A civilization that had advanced far beyond what anyone had imagined possible. We knew about the Council's tendency to guide younger species, Morrison continued. How you subtly direct their technological development along approved paths. We chose a different route. We took what we found and made it our own. We didn't follow your paths. We made new ones. The chamber had fallen completely silent. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just caught up to the Council. They had surpassed them, all while maintaining a perfect facade of primitive development. But now, Morrison's voice carried a new weight. The time for pretense is over. We've detected something approaching, something you've been ignoring for far too long. And if we're going to survive what's coming, we need to start being honest with each other. He paused, looking around the chamber at each species' representatives. So, shall we begin the real first contact? Ambassador Morrison reached into his jacket and withdrew what appeared to be a small silver sphere. As he held it up, the air above the Council chamber's central dais began to ripple and distort. What I'm about to show you, he said, his voice grave, was first detected by our deep space array 30 years ago. We spent a decade confirming the data, another decade preparing, and the last 10 years building our response. The sphere released a pulse of energy that transformed the chamber's entire upper half into a vast stellar display. Council members gasped as they found themselves seemingly floating among the stars, the visualization so perfect that several anti-grav platforms activated their emergency stabilizers. This is a real-time view of the space between galaxies, Morrison explained. Specifically, the void between Andromeda and the Milky Way. Watch the dark areas between the star clusters. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then, gradually, patterns began to emerge. Vast shapes moving through the darkness, their forms defying easy description. They were massive, each one large enough to swallow entire solar systems. We call them void leviathans, Morrison continued. Though that's more poetic than accurate. They're not living creatures, at least not in any way we understand life. They're more like mobile gaps in reality. The Illumini ambassador's bioluminescence flickered with recognition and horror. The prophecy of the lost worlds, she whispered. We brought this to the Council 3 centuries ago. As did the Zentari, 5 centuries before that. Morrison nodded. And the Marosh, nearly 1,000 years ago. Each time, the Council dismissed the warning as legend or misinterpreted data. The display zoomed in on one of the entities. Its surface seemed to absorb not just light, but the very fabric of space-time itself. Where it passed, stars simply ceased to be. They don't destroy. Morrison's voice had taken on an edge of controlled anger. They unmake. Everything they touch is not just destroyed, but retroactively erased from existence. The only reason we can see them at all is because we've developed technology to track temporal paradoxes. First speaker Cahul's voice trembled. How? How many? We've confirmed 37 major entities and over 200 smaller ones. Their current trajectory will bring them to the edge of Council space within 5 years. The Milky Way will be their first major target. The chamber erupted in panic. Species representatives began shouting questions and demands, their voices overlapping in a chaos of fear. Morrison waited for the noise to subside before speaking again. This is why we built the Dark Horizon. Why we developed technology that could manipulate the very forces these things use to unmake reality. Everything we've done, every secret we've kept, every deception we've maintained, was in preparation for this threat. The display changed, showing the human vessel in new detail. What had seemed like simple dark metal was revealed to be layer upon layer of reality-warping technologies, defensive systems that could rewrite the laws of physics on a whim. Dark Horizon isn't a warship, Morrison explained. It's a prototype, a test platform for the technologies we'll need to fight these things, and it's the smallest of its class. He paused, letting that sink in before continuing. We have an entire fleet ready for deployment. Shipyards hidden in pocket dimensions throughout our system are producing more every day. But even with all that, we're not sure it will be enough. Not without the combined resources of the Council behind us. The display shifted one final time, showing the Void Leviathan's projected path through the galaxy. System after system vanishing, not just destroyed, but never having existed at all. So now you know why we've revealed ourselves, Morrison concluded. This isn't about power or politics anymore. This is about survival. Not just of individual species or civilizations, but of reality itself. We need each other, all of us, because what's coming? It's coming for everyone. The ancient chamber, which had witnessed 10,000 years of diplomatic discourse, had never seen such discord. The holographic display of the Void Leviathans still hung above, a silent reminder of the horror that approached. As the Council devolved into factions, War Master Grax slammed his ceremonial blade against the speaking podium, its quantum-hardened edge, leaving deep gouges in the ancient material. The humans must be contained, he roared, his scale crests flaring combat red. They've hidden their true power for centuries, manipulated our observations, and now they demand our cooperation. This could be a deception. A deception. Ambassador Lith's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with derision. They could have conquered us at any time in the past 50 years. The Dark Horizon passed through our greatest defenses like they were simply suggestions. Morrison stood silently in the center of the chamber, watching the debate rage. Behind him, through the chamber's transparent dome, the massive form of the human vessel hung in the sky like a second night. The Crack's dominion demands immediate access to human military technology. Grax continued, his soldiers around the chamber raising their weapons in agreement. If this threat is real, if the ancient Merosh representative, Nemtoth, rose from their gravity throne. The Illumini warned us. We warned you. The Zentari warned us all. And now the humans show us proof, demonstrated with technology far beyond our understanding, and you still question. The chamber's quantum displays suddenly flickered, every piece of advanced technology simultaneously glitching. Morrison hadn't moved, hadn't made any obvious gesture, but the message was clear. Human technology could affect even the most secure systems at will. The Illumini collective votes for alliance, Ambassador Lith announced, her form glowing with determined purpose. The humans have shown both power and restraint. They could have kept hidden, left us to our fate. Instead, they reveal themselves, offering aid. The Arxian consensus concurs. The Arxian delegates' tentacles formed patterns of agreement. Our analysis shows the human vessel's capabilities are beyond theoretical limits. If they meant us harm, this discussion would be pointless. One by one, species began to declare their positions. The chamber's automated systems tracked the votes, holographic tallies appearing above each section. The younger races, led by the cracks, called for containment or immediate military action. The elder species, those who had been in space long enough to recognize true existential threats, largely supported alliance. You speak of trust. Grax made one final appeal. But they've already proven themselves deceptive. How can we? Morrison finally spoke, his voice cutting through the chaos, like a blade through silk. Computer, display local stellar configuration. Time index. Now, the chamber's display shifted, showing their local star cluster. Then, with a gesture, he added, display confirmed void Leviathan impact sites from other galaxies. The image changed. Entire sections of stars simply vanished, replaced by nothing. Not darkness, not empty space, but the complete absence of everything that had ever been. That's what failure looks like, Morrison said quietly. All of those lost stars had civilizations, had history, had life. Now they never did. We're not asking for trust. We're offering a choice. Stand with us. Pool our resources. Fight together. Or watch everything we've ever known not just die, but never have existed at all. The chamber fell silent. The vote count continued to shift, more and more species moving to support alliance. Finally, First Speaker K'tal raised all four arms for attention. The Council has reached consensus, they announced, their voice heavy with historic weight. Earth will be recognized as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all rights and responsibilities thereof. Furthermore, a joint defense initiative will be established immediately, with human leadership of the military response to this existential threat. Morrison nodded once, then smiled. Then let's get to work. We have a reality to save. The following week transformed the galaxy more than the previous 10,000 years combined. Throughout Council space, hidden quantum channels activated as Earth finally revealed its full industrial capacity. What had seemed like empty star systems suddenly blossomed with activity as dimensional pockets unfurled, revealing vast human shipyards and research stations. First Speaker Kittle stood on the observation deck of the Dark Horizon, watching as the first joint fleet took shape. The massive human vessel, once a source of terror, now served as a command center for the greatest military buildup in galactic history. The integration of Council technology with human systems is proceeding faster than expected, Ambassador Morrison noted, standing beside the first speaker. Your engineers are adapting well to our methods. Below them, Arxian construction ships wove reality-reinforcing fields around new vessels, built to human specifications. Zentari crystal tech merged with Earth's temporal engineering, creating defensive systems that could predict attacks before they were launched. Illumini energy matrices powered weapons that could rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. "There's something I've been meaning to ask," Kittel said, their voice carefully neutral. "The Dark Horizon. You said it was your smallest battleship." Morrison's slight smile returned. "Would you like to see our largest?" A gesture brought up a new holographic display. The scale took several moments to register in Kittel's mind. That's not possible. That's larger than most star systems." "The Eclipse Eternal," Morrison confirmed. "Currently hidden in a pocket dimension near Jupiter. We've been building it for 20 years. It's not just a ship. It's a mobile reality anchor. When the Void Leviathans try to unmake space-time, the Eclipse will force reality to remember itself." The display showed more details, and Kittel's multiple hearts nearly stopped. The vessel could house the entire combined fleet they were building now inside one of its smaller hangars. Its power source appeared to be, "Is that a contained Big Bang?" "Something like that," Morrison agreed. "We had to find a way to generate enough energy to maintain existence itself against things that want to erase it. Conventional power sources weren't going to cut it." Kittel's next question was interrupted by a priority alert. On the main display, a new ship was emerging from Earth's space. Its design was similar to the Dark Horizon, but more refined, more elegant in its reality-warping architecture. "Ah," Morrison said, "right on schedule. The Dawn Seeker, our first production model, incorporating both human and council technologies. We'll need about 1,000 of these for the first wave." "First wave." Kittel's translator almost glitched on the words. "How many waves are you planning?" Morrison's expression grew serious. "As many as it takes. We've run the simulations, first speaker. When the Void Leviathans arrive, we'll get one chance, one single opportunity to prove that reality has the right to exist. That life has the right to be." He turned to face Kittel directly. "That's why we stayed hidden for so long. Why we built in secret, learned in secret, prepared in secret, because we needed to be ready, truly ready. The Council would have had us develop along traditional paths, but traditional paths won't save us from what's coming." The display updated again, showing more ships emerging from hidden shipyards throughout human space. Each one represented technology that should have been impossible, yet here they were. "You know," Kittel said thoughtfully, "some among the Council still wonder what else humanity might be hiding." Morrison's smile returned, but now it held a hint of mystery. "First speaker, if we survive the coming war, if we save reality itself, then perhaps we'll show you. Because what you've seen so far, it's just the beginning. Humanity has always had a talent for exceeding expectations. Above them, the combined fleet of humanity, and the Council continued to grow, a shield of light and power against the darkness between galaxies. The greatest war in history was coming, and for the first time, Kittel felt something they hadn't expected: hope.